The Republic of Samanyanga, Rome, is situated on the scenic Elephantia continent, sharing its eastern border with the nation of Pangolina. Rome is a state party to all international human rights treaties. Rome has been engulfed in a fierce socio-political storm as the Samanyanga and Samanyemba groups grapple over the very identity of their nation. Spearheading the Samanyanga's resistance is Professor Mujolo Headscarf, a renowned computer science academic at the prestigious Central University of Panda, CAP, who together with Professor Mina's Opportunity, she conceived and founded a social media platform called Geneva. Following the digitalization of Rome and adoption of several emerging information technologies, Rome established the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence, Information and Communication Technologies, ACT. The Ministry of ACT also lobbied government to adopt the 2015 AI and Digital Bill of Rights Act 2015. In 1980, Rome underwent a seismic shift in its approach to civil rights and social justice, catalyzed by fierce activist movements advocating for the rights of women, persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, and the Shumba. These movements emphasized the need for Rome to acknowledge its dark past in relation to the genesis of systemic racism and colonial extractivism. In response, the Rome Parliament adopted Constitutional Amendment 1980, CA80, colloquially known as the Affirmative Action Clause. CA80 aimed to rectify the long persisting disparities in the representation in public life of racial minorities, all genders, persons with disability, and indigenous peoples. This clause is held by the likes of Ntetanwa Tisika Tovuntokachi, fondly known as Miss Tiantu, who have praised CA80 in opening avenues for students with a background like hers. She was in 2011 raped and had several acts of sexual violence committed against her by soldiers under Commander Domino Nomina. However, after an extensive review in the beginning of 2022, CA80 was subsequently not renewed. Immediately, the Minister of Education released a directive instructing all state universities to abandon CA80's affirmative action policies. In response, CAP and an NGO called the Citizens Initiative for Democracy, CID, aggrieved by the termination of CA80, sought judicial intervention from Sakoko. In a landmark judgment delivered on 17 October 2022, Sakoko ruled in favor of the government, stating that in the absence of a renewed CA80, educational institutions were obliged to heed the government's directive. Despite her adversity, Ms. Tiantu applied and was admitted into the LLB program at CAP in 2021. She successfully protested against the policy that only required students from former Rome colonies from undergoing an English language test, despite having received their education with English as a medium of instruction, while other international students were exempted from this rule. This victory was short-lived as the government subsequently forced CAP to reinstate this requirement for international students. Aggrieved by the government's interference, in September 2023, CAP approached the High Court in Rome, arguing that the directive infringed upon its institutional autonomy and academic freedom. April 2023 was marked with another controversial decision by the government. Commander Domini Nomina, a man with a checkered past, was granted amnesty. Despite about 60 victims being consulted, Ms. Tiantu was not and is subsequently relieving the trauma of a rape after having gotten wind of Commander Domini's amnesty on TV. By November 2023, Crew, acting on behalf of Ms. Tiantu, approached Sakoko, contending that the amnesty granted to Commander Domini was a blatant violation of her rights. The matter has been set for hearing on the 24th of July 2024. The last trending legal scuffle of Rome involves the popular social media platform Kanjiva, now known as Kashiri. The founders had a fallout after they offered this platform to Romek to facilitate an online survey on the popularity of the parliament's decision to change the name of Rome to Samanyemba. Professor Headscarf suspected Professor Mina's Opportunity, of manipulating the results and subsequently pushed out Professor Miner's opportunity as she controlled 70% of the shares. Kashiri underwent several changes to his algorithm and functionality, including the option of a paid user verification, which saw an increase in ghost accounts. The aggrieved long-time users authored several complaint letters to the Ministry of AICT. The Minister of AICT, citing Article 19 of the 2015 AI and Digital Bill of Rights, instructed Kashiri to immediately stop any further changes to the platform. On 20 December 2023, a watershed meeting was held that brought together various stakeholders deeply immersed in the ongoing legal and social turmoil in Rome. The meeting included Professor Mjolo Headscarf, representing the interests of the Samanyanga and the controversies surrounding the Geneva to Kashiri transition. Ms. Chianto, the emblematic figure of the amnesty debacle involving Commander Domini Nomina, along with representatives of the Coalition for Rights and Empowerment of Women CRU, Citizens for Inclusive Democracy CID, and the Central University of Panda CAP. The outcome was a united front that identified as Triple C, even though there is no organization registered as Triple C in Rome. On 26 December 2023, Triple C filed an application at the ECHR registry alleging the following. A. Rome's elimination of affirmative action in education contravenes its international human rights obligations. B. Rome's actions to alter the nation's name run counter to its international human rights obligations. Equally, Rome's actions to restrict Professor Headscarf's authority to make changes at Geneva run counter to its international human rights obligations. C. Rome's directive regarding the English language test ELT violates its international human rights obligations. D. Rome's provision of amnesty to Commander Domini Nomina is in breach of its international human rights obligations.